Market players have their attentions focused on the debt management office's 225 billion naira bond auction due next week, Monday, as talks on debt restructuring and counter statements fuel a wait-and-see approach. Meanwhile, the central bank conducts a bi-weekly auction today. Chuka Nwachukwu, head of fixed income trading at UBA, joins us for a market update. Chuka, it's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Good afternoon, Wale.
All right, I see we are thinking about this fashion the same way today, but let's talk about the markets for a moment. So your perspective, first of all, on this auction that holds today, what are the big takeaways from the activities that we're seeing?
Okay, you mean the bond auction?
Yes. Yeah,
the bond auction is next week, Monday. However, today, all activity is skewed towards Monday, so we've seen a low trading day. There weren't much activity today because everybody is looking at the bond auction on Monday.
Right.
So we have about 225 billion on offer on Monday, and then we have across 3 maturities. Last auction result, the highest maturity, which was 2037, came out at 14.5, and this bond is currently trading at 15.35. So we are looking at around 15.5, and then we also anticipating an increase in yield going into the last end of the year.
Right. Actually, earlier I was referring to the bi-weekly SMIS auction for foreign exchange. But we'll get to that in a moment. Let's stick with the bond markets for a bit. And again, I have to ask you about your thoughts about the rhetoric around the finance minister's comments that have been misconstrued. Do you get the sense that investors are getting quite jittery about exposure to Nigeria's debt? And what, in your view, are the implications of that moving forward?
Well, I think it's very clear what the government is trying to do. Government is not saying they are not meeting all the obligations. They are meeting the obligations. And they are saying, look, we want to refinance, we want to restructure our debt, in order to make it comfortable for us. So I think that the misconstrued statement, or people just misunderstood what the Honorable Minister of Finance said, and I think that the government will probably just do more enlightenment and more communicate so that people will be clear about it. And for me, really, I don't think there's anything wrong about trying to restructure your debt. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not able to meet your obligation, but however, you just want to have a bit of space in order for you to operate.
But would you say that is a critical move for Nigeria? Because you've seen the budget for next year, huge budget deficit, 11 trillion. That is potentially the entire budget for maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So we get a sense that this deficit is huge, and the big question is, how is the government going to pay for it? And as you also know, the interest rate environment has changed. It's a lot more expensive to borrow now. Would you say that this is a critical move by the government if they were to borrow more going into next year?
Yeah, anything that has to do with budget has to do with both fiscal and monetary policy. So we are looking at the fiscal policy now. And so the government obviously will have to look at the way to finance the budget. And if you see most of the activities going on as regard the oil theft and then the activities in Niger Delta, the government is seriously concerned about the fact that they are not generating enough revenue in order to meet obligation. And so I believe that once those loopholes in terms of oil theft is sorted out and Nigeria is able to meet its quota, and then also being able to generate more revenue in order to cushion the effect of the take advantage of the high rise in the oil price, I believe that the government will be fine. I mean, Nigerian economy, is not looking as bad as it is. However, I'm not saying that all is well, but then, the fact that the government is able to meet its obligations, is able to meet its activities in terms of financing its debt and all that, I believe that they are on the right track, and then investors' confidence will come in. I just feel that while we're having a little bit of apathy in terms of investors' confident is the pre-election, and once the election activities are over and everything goes well as expected, I believe that they will come back.
Well, Chuka, I think many will argue that is a very optimistic view of the situation, but let's park that for a moment and talk a bit about the FX market. Earlier I mentioned about that bi-weekly SMIS auction. What type of activity are you anticipating in the Forex markets as we round up this year?
Well, the activity in the FX market has been up and down. We've seen a rate around, hovered around 14.41, 14.2 levels on the I&E market. And so today auction, like you rightly mentioned.
You mean 441, I guess?
Right. So, pardon me, 441. Yes. Pardon me, yeah. So today's auction, like you rightly mentioned, is just the normal CBN auction, which, also enable them to meet some of the demand. But however, I mean, once the demand out there is quite huge, and so there's little the CBN can do, trying to meet everyone's demand. So we will continue to see the depreciation. At the same time, a little bit of appreciation as we go towards the end of the year.